So in the people were throwing away saga, or I should say the latest in the many things that I've picked up that people were throwing away, there was a fairly fancy desk with plywood drawers. It looks like solid wood sides. It's particle board pieces there, but this is solid wood, and the top was really fancy. That's probably not going to come across on the indoor lighting, but the neat thing is the height. Oops. Yes, I'm falling on the other things I picked up. The height on this, with some wheels, would be the correct height to have the bandsaw. So if I make a new, because I'm going to need to make some additional stands. I wanted to make a wood stand to put all my little wood pieces in. And it's always good to have drawers. Well, this already comes with 3 drawers. 2 smaller segmented ones, and then a larger drawer. So if I can repurpose this, and it's a fairly heavy-duty solid base. So if I can repurpose this to be the new base of the bandsaw, meaning add another plywood layer or such on top and then screw that down to this, then that would give me a shorter stand for the bandsaw, and I could add something else on top of there as needed. Either some shelves and racks to put the small wood pieces in, because basically I have way too many containers of wood sitting around. Like there's 2, there's more up there, they're everywhere. So the first thing I did was I took this bottom part off, and it's actually, oh, this is gonna be hard. Okay, it's easy with 2 hands, not so easy with 1. So it's actually held on with dowels and screws, which is kind of cool. And then what I did on the inside, you can kind of see here, it had the smaller black corner braces already, so I added the silver ones. So I added a big one in the back, smaller one on each side, and then this also had a built-in cross brace to help it from racking, which is one of the reasons why it was solid. So I added another brace on each side there. So that should make this part nice and solid. I'm going to beef up the bottom a little bit as well for some angle brackets and such. And I may also put additional screws and or dowels down in. Most likely screws, and maybe an additional layer of plywood. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I'm going to beef this bottom up, and we'll see how it works. Like I said, it's a very solid cabinet. It has, the light is making it impossible to see. It has those corner braces already in, so it's already fairly structurally sound for being held together. So with just a little more bracing, I think we should be good to at least try it. Because there shouldn't normally be a lot of sideways stress on the bandsaw. Most of it's going to be vertical. And if these are fairly solid sides, that should be fine. Because it was supposed to hold up a fairly heavy desktop and such, and whatever else you put on the desk. So I do need to come up with some wheels for the bottom, which I don't have yet. But that's a trip to Home Depot or such. I think I'm going to try it because if nothing else, it'll look cool. It gets me 3 free drawers basically. And it's a proper height stand for that bandsaw. So basically the top of this would end up putting the table down here. So that's more of a proper height to use it than this is. So that's what I'm going to try. And I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with the top. The top is, like I said, it's fairly fancy and not too badly messed up. But it has the bracing on such, so I'm guessing it's a veneered top. But I'm not 100% sure. I think it's a veneered top. I haven't checked the grain pattern in the top versus the underside, but just looking at this, it looks like it's probably a veneered top that's different than the underside. But I'll have to look. But in any case, the top's not the big thing that I'm working on right now. The base of this is. And I also got this stuff the other day for someone was getting rid of. So I might be able to use that to help beef up the top a little bit, because again, this stuff's not real strong if it gets wet or if it's under a lot of twisting and pounding loads, but it's just going to need to sit there. So if I put 1 or 2 layers of this and a static, because I mean this works here, that works fine. So if I put 1 or 2 layers of this on the top, down here, that should make this top nice and solid, and I can screw that down and then it's not going to move at all on the top. We should be good. So at least that's the plan. We'll see how it goes and how well it works, but that's going to be the next project, is to see if I can make this into a shorter bandsaw stand. All right, I got the bottom secured with a it's double wide as compared to that size. And on the front, I have one of those. And then for the top, I screwed the bottom down with a bunch of extra screws on each, like 5 extra screws on each of the 3 cross members. Then I put a piece of 3/4 inch spacer and then 2 3/4 inch pieces that were actually the extra pieces off of the second silver drill press bottom piece. I had 2 extra pieces, so I cut one of those, and these screws go clear down to about here. So there's 5 screws that are going down to about here, and then 2 screws are just holding that bottom piece on as well. These are kind of extra, but I put those in first to hold all this down. So there's 5, basically 3-inch screws on each end. That bumps this up to this solid wood ledge, and then I should be able to get a set of wheels to sit on this ledge that lock the swivel and the rotation, and then that should be close enough to work. I might have to put a washer or something under it to bring it up that extra little bit, but yeah, I think that's gonna work. So now I just got to get wheels. I can't do much else till I get the wheels, because once I turn this over, I don't want to have to turn it back up over. All right, wheels have been acquired. That's the SKU number, assuming it focuses. It may not, because it's this phone. But basically, it's a 3-inch dual locking wheel, meaning it locks the rotation of the wheel and it locks the rotation of the wheel, like the bearing. So it locks both. And I have 4 of those attached. That went fairly well. I used a set of those wafer head screws from Simpson Strong Ties. That's what it is. So on the inside, this is what the top looks like. So on each one of these brackets, I have the Simpson Strong Ties attached, the big one at the back, and then on this side, and I also screwed down these the angle brackets that came with the cabinet, and then put a top on it. And it's heavy. I gotta put the phone down to flip it over, but I can show you the top. Okay, it's definitely a heavy enough base, even without the drawers or stuff in. I think that should be fine. It rolls nice, so that's good because of those wheels. Hopefully that's gonna work all right. It should. And then I put in each one of the cross braces going across, I put 3 screws. So it's enough to pick it up, and this should be fully locked down now because there's a bracket on the inside holding down here, 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 and here, and then these screws. So next I get to see, I guess that's not that much lower, but it is lower than the other one. Now, if I'm going to switch this over, I'm going to leave that piece that I have bolted on to the saw, still bolted on, and then just screw it down like I did before, because otherwise that's too messy. There's no way I could screw up under and screw those screws in if I attached it to this. So no, we're not even gonna try that. But I am gonna descrew it from that and set it on here and see how it looks and how it goes and go from there. It still needs to be downloaded again to there. So let me just, before I change it, I'm gonna measure and make sure. Well, that's about 71.5, and I didn't set it on there, but this plus that's about 71.5, so I don't know if it's gonna fit. Oh man, if I took it off that piece and somehow bolted it to this, it would be short enough, but I might have to do that. So anyway, lots of fun. I guess I will set it on here, and I'll set it on here first, and I'll see if how much it hits, and if yes, I'll take the base back off and maybe try just putting it directly on there. So we'll see. Yay, it fits. Now granted, if you look, it is higher than this, but it's not higher than the stuff sitting on top of the shelf. That's okay, I can work with that. I just have to get it such that when it goes back and forth under here, it's under this section, not under there. So yay, I think that's going to work without any extra playing around. Of course, now I have to redo all the mess in there to make room for it, because currently I need to redo at least 2 shelves over there to try and sort things out, so I have space for an additional cabinet, because I wasn't planning on, or I should say, I had room for this as well as everything else. I don't have room for this, which is longer, as well as everything else, but that's okay. I was planning to redo some of those anyway, but in any case, that worked. It's noisy, because that's what sheet metal does. But it fit, so yay. That's good. I don't have a good picture of it, but that's kind of a... Well, it's an extremely messy picture, but it kind of works. So that part of the project is done. Granted, it's half of the previous project of getting a stand for that, but this stand I can move around underneath there. I have to move that out of the way because normally the drum sander sits here. So in order for this to go under the center, the drum sander had to be out of the way. But normally when I use this, it'll be back in this hopefully open area, because normally this area is cleared off, and that's where I pull the machines out, use them, then put them back in the tool Tetris area. But yeah, so messy, but worked. So we'll go with that.